I got scared. You do the intro.
I thought you said I got scammed. I was like, welcome to the Crypto Brotherhood. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Big Boy District podcast. I almost said welcome to Better Call Saul, because that's the first topic I have written down, and I'm staring at my list of topics because I'm ready. I came prepared this time. Yeah, welcome. I don't know what's going on with little crybaby bitch face here, but I'm in a good mood.
I was just so scared. That was the first time you let me do the intro, and I failed.
That actually is true.
So much was riding on that.
Yeah, you just started in tears as soon as I hit the record button. It's okay.
Yeah, it's all blank. It's all black. I don't remember any of the last minute or so. Did I do good?
That was fantastic. That was phenomenal.
Sweet. Excellent.
I mean,
excellent.
you said you had like stage fright and all, but I didn't even sense it. There were tears, but that's what passionate performance. That's what passionate performance brings to the table.
Well, basically, I just kind of I thought of my hero, the man by the name of Morgan Freeman, and yeah, I thought of what he would do, and then I just did that, and it was easy. You too can have success.
Morgan Freeman. Zip zap zippity bop. Wait, wrong guy.
Oh, I have a total of 3 topics, but I can kind of sense that you want to talk about a certain TV show that you like.
I have 8 topics. First of all, let me go through these 8 topics and just take a quick count of how many of them suck.
Okay.
1, 2. Okay, we actually have the same topic because we were both planning on talking about the Act Man thing. So that we got an intersection there.
I'm gonna keep that as my topic, and you now have 7 topics.
So I have 3. Okay, I have 2 topics that kind of suck, but also I've been sitting on them for about a month. They've just been on this list untalked about, so they might never get talked about. But yeah.
Well, we'll get to them today.
Maybe. I still don't really want to talk about them. I just keep pushing them to the bottom of the list and keep adding new shit. This is a current events. This is a current events podcast. So whenever new current events come up, I decide that we're going to cover the new current event instead of these old crappy topics that I don't really care about. Because this is first and foremost a current events podcast where you come to get your political info, your news, your reviews. That's our slogan. Movies, music, me. Big Boy District.
What?
Yeah. What if that was our slogan?
That's music, movies, and me. Where we never talk about music because we have yet to talk about that.
Yeah, that's true. We have not once brought up music, I don't think.
So, and pretty much the only movies we talk about for some reason are Star Wars. So,
this is first and foremost a current events Star Wars podcast.
Andrew Yang, what do you think of him?
Andrew Yang. Was he the guy that was like running for president?
Maybe.
Or he was like planning on it and then he like dipped out.
Yeah, I think he was like nominated by like one of those like third parties.
What the hell was his? I don't even remember anything about that guy. Wasn't he kind of like he was kind of like Bernie Sanders-ish? Because I remember a lot of like... I
have no idea.
I remember a lot of Bernie Sanders people liked him. They were like, oh, why vote for Bernie Sanders when you can vote for Yang? And then Yang like dropped out of the election or whatever, and people were like, all right, back to Bernie. Bernie was wrong.
I truthfully have no idea about his political leanings. I do know that there's an AI out there now that can make Joe Biden hit the nay-nay. So,
oh, nice.
In the back rooms. Did you see that picture?
Yeah.
Joe Biden in the back rooms.
I went down for a nap and I woke up in the back rooms. It's okay, Joe. Keep your head on your shoulders. Joe Biden's hilarious. He's always been hilarious, too, like, since the dawn of time. Like, I think the first time he ran for president, he had to drop out because he got caught plagiarizing his speech. And so you're probably thinking, this is the best fucking part. This is the funniest part. You're probably thinking he stole from some obscure source that not a lot of people would know about.
Did he, like, steal from, like, Abraham Lincoln or something?
He stole it from Winston Churchill.
What?
Like, dude, how the fuck do you think no one in the whole world is gonna notice that?
And it's like he doesn't notice that in the speech it says kingdom a few times and like British Empire and everything.
Winston Churchill. I mean, Sleepy Joe. I mean, Joe Biden. I don't know. It's all hilarious. Politics
Sleepy
is
Joe
it's all a joke to me because I don't care.
Yeah, I know it's not the popular opinion to have, and people get enraged when you say this, but I can't bring myself to care. It's just I've seen multiple Democratic and multiple Republican presidents, and the only thing that seems to change is the rhetoric.
Those goddamn gas prices.
Yeah, that too, I guess, but those just have kind of always fluctuated, in my opinion.
I blame Russia for the current state of gas prices. But also, I don't have a car. I have a fucking electric bike that I just charge in my garage, and that gets me everywhere I need to go. But yeah, I do have a cousin who drives like a Ford F-350 turbo diesel, and like, it is a badass truck. But my god, he has got to be hating gassing that thing up right about now.
Yeah, I bet, dude. Like, I have a fucking four-banger Subaru, and that car sucks because it's miles per gallon. Like, the engine is super efficient, but it's also just a boat, and it weighs a lot, so that cancels it out. So I get I get like no miles to the gallon, so it's just like I just never drive anywhere. That's why, like, half the time when I want to hang out with you, it's like, fuck, I have an empty gas tank, and I don't feel like buying gas till tomorrow because I have it budgeted that way. So I'm just gonna hit up Cody on Discord, I guess.
I've had Actman on the screen, and anyone listening to this is probably wondering when we're gonna start talking about the Actman.
Are we getting into Justice for Actman before we get into Better Call Saul?
Yeah, we probably should, just because otherwise we're gonna have Actman's picture on the screen, and it's just gonna be creepy.
Like, I love you, Actman. I know what his real name is. Kelly.
Oh yeah, you don't know what's really weird? I don't know if it's just me, but I actually think the name Kelly is really badass on a dude.
I mean, I don't have any feelings towards it either way. It's just he doesn't look like a Kelly.
Like, I grew up with a guy named Kelly Riggs, and like let's face it, that's a cool ass name, Kelly Riggs. Like, that's cool. That's like the name of like a main character in a book or something. Kind of jealous of that name, but yeah, I don't know. Kelly's one of those names where it's like it's weird on a dude, but then when I think about it, it's like, oh, I actually kind of like that. That's kind of cool. Same with like Casey. Casey's kind of a cool name for a guy too. But you really got to think about it.
Yeah, there's I had a manager when I worked as a salesman at Kia. His name was Courtney, and his last name was even crazier. So his name was Courtney Goodgains. And he was like, I'm pretty sure he like legally changed his last name because it was Goodgains with a Z, and he was an ex-linebacker, and he was just like fucking huge, dude. Like, he wasn't very tall, but like his bicep was like as big around as my neck. Like, he just clearly worked out. So I'm thinking he changed his last name to that. But like, yeah, after I met him, because the funny story behind that is when I was interviewing for that job, I was told I was going to be interviewing with Courtney, and so I was preparing to meet a skinny blonde white lady because that's the first thing I think of when I think of the name Courtney, and it turned out to be a large black man, which wasn't like a bad thing. It was just like I was just like, oh damn, I need to not judge things by that quickly. Like, this is a diverse world we live in. And so, but he turned out to be like one of the best bosses I ever had. He was like one of like 4 managers I've ever had in my life that actually took the time to like teach me things instead of just setting me loose in the job and then yelling at me when I didn't know how to do things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's always
Like,
nice. It sucks being new and like your coworkers are just like irate as fuck and they hate you because you're brand new and you don't know anything yet. Like,
it's like, dude, I'm sorry.
I know it's like, dude. I also like on the other end of that, I hate training people.
But it's necessary.
Yeah, and at the same time, I'm not bad at it either, and I never ever get like irritated or mad at anybody. And I feel like I do a pretty good job of showing people how to do stuff for the most part. I don't really think I'm that good of a teacher, but my saving grace is that I'm really patient. So like, even though I might not do a good job of like getting my point across, I'll at least not get mad at people for not understanding what I'm getting at. Like,
I'm that dad trying to teach you multiplication at 2 a.m. yelling at you type shit.
yeah.
All right, we've kind of strayed off topic here, so I'll rein us back in. We talked about this, I think, 2 episodes ago, maybe last episode, but if you're not up to speed, the Act Man made a video making fun of Quantum TV's Elden Ring bad take. Quantum TV abused the copyright system to have the video taken down or strike sent against the Act Man, something like that. The strike never went through because he didn't even properly fill out the forms. And the Act Man made a video along with a couple other YouTubers about how this guy was abusing the copyright system. And it escalated on Twitter. I don't know if you heard about this part, but the Act Man was talking about it on Twitter, and suddenly his mom got a bunch of text messages from Quantum TV saying that he was calling the police on them and whatnot, and it was just really weird. He like doxed his mother. That and Quantum TV's just got a history of being a homophobic, bigoted, racist piece of shit on Facebook and YouTube. He kind of treated the YouTube community tab like a diary, and just posted and deleted a bunch of just utterly crazy, like, and I don't mean like homophobic, like closeted homophobic. I mean he was like saying that gay people should be put to death type shit, like calling for like acts of violence and shit. And but regardless, the Act Man made some content about him, trying to expose him, and YouTube suddenly pulled those videos down and demonetized his entire channel yesterday.
Yep, and a really important detail to add on to all this is that Quantum TV is absolutely, positively unhinged. I actually read this out loud on like a couple episodes ago because it was really funny. It was basically a try not to laugh challenge. I'm not gonna read it out loud again, but we've all seen his hilarious fucking post that he made. I can't remember where this originally came up, but when Quantum TV was like, "Oh, I just want to thank everyone for sticking with me, blah, blah, blah. Stop the
liberal,
FOMO.
gay, satanic agenda."
Yeah, 1 minute you could be watching Stop the FOMO, next minute you're having anal sex with your dad and doing coke, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's like, what? And not only, like, some of that shit was funny from our point of view, because we're a couple of straight white dudes from the suburbs, but there was a couple of posts I saw in there where he was, like, openly calling for, you know, violent action to be taken against gay and trans folks, and that shit's harmful. You can't just say shit like that. Even if you, like, have a following as small as, like, 10 people, you can't be telling them that it's okay to be, like, have that hatred and have that violent mindset towards people. It's just not productive, and at the least, and it's outright harmful at the most. And so it was just it's kind of a slap in the face to, like, content creators and YouTube, and just, I don't know, just decency itself, that this guy is allowed to remain on the platform during Pride Month, might I add. Like, this month is Gay Pride Month, and YouTube is choosing not to do anything against his channel, not to do anything against his copyright abuses and his homophobia and his violent rhetoric. They're also taking down the channels of the people who are criticizing them for not doing anything about it, and that's just evil, I guess, would be the right word that I would describe that. Like, I don't like to use that like lightly, but that just strikes me as outright evil, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, there's something very, like, there's just an underlying sinister feel about the whole thing, considering Ackman's entire channel is just now all of a sudden demonetized out of the blue, just amidst this conflict. Also, have you seen the actual, like, reasons YouTube is demonetizing the videos? It's
for sarcastic tweets.
Yeah, and for nudity.
With the cucumber thing.
The Ackman is a guy who makes reviews of video games. There is no nudity in any of his content. There isn't even like a video game boobie. Like there's no nudity. I've seen like all of this dude's videos. There's no boobies. There's no dick. There's no pussy. There's none of
that. And they also listed it for him making tweets saying things like, "Oh, I might go dox someone's mom since that's okay now." But like clearly he was saying that sarcastically. Like you don't have to be fucking a genius to figure that out. And so yeah, it's just really upsetting because all the reasons I listed before, and B, that guy, like, the Ackman doesn't deserve to lose his job for using his platform to call someone out for abusing the platform.
And just like going back to how suspicious this shit is, like you and me were both talking about it earlier, but like there's absolutely no way. Call us conspiracy theorists, but there's no way that Quantum TV does not have either like blackmail or just some really high up connections within YouTube to pull these strings like behind the curtain.
Yeah, like here's the thing. Here's the reason that I kind of think that, because like I don't know if I genuinely think that. It's one of those things where it's like I could see it, but I could also.
I definitely do.
Like. But here's the thing: is the Ackman has 1.5 million subscribers, and his videos typically get between 1 and 3 million views. So he's a pretty big YouTuber. Like he's got a pretty sizable following. I have never ever, I could not think of one single time where a YouTuber's YouTube channel was just suddenly, without warning, without strikes, without any communication beforehand, just getting suddenly demonetized, Like, usually they take a video down and they send you something that says, hey, if you don't stop making videos like this, then we're going to take your channel down. And then at least in my experience, like I can think of YouTubers that make actually offensive content that have bigger and smaller platforms than the Ackman, and they've just had videos get taken down, and YouTube send them a message saying like, hey, the reason we took this videos down is because it violates TOS. If you want to edit it so it's within TOS, then you can put it back up. But for some, like, and the thing is the only warning that he got was his YouTube partner, who doesn't even work for YouTube. It's just the management that he has that talks to YouTube, hit him up and was like, hey, here in like an hour, your channel's probably going to get demonetized. And then it was. And YouTube itself did not communicate with him, did not like take the video down beforehand. They just went right for the neck. Isn't that weird? Isn't that just strange in a way?
Exactly.
Like I'm completely
weird. I hate it. It's suspicious.
And now they're going out of their way, like, according to the Ackman's Twitter, he's talked about this, to take down videos of other people that are criticizing them. But why aren't their channels getting demonetized? Why was it just the Ackman for one cucumber photo? Like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. So
there seems to be a huge YouTube crackdown right now on fair use, in the sense that fair use is like not a thing anymore. And
yeah.
Like, have you ever heard of a channel called Hugbees?
One of Charlie's friends.
Yeah, he makes the how it's actually made videos. Literally all of those videos, like pretty much right before this whole Act-Man thing, those videos were just getting demonetized rapid fire left and right. Like
Which
YouTube,
one of his videos?
all of them, all of the how it's actually made videos, and he made like dozens of them, and they all just got demonetized like back to back to back to back. And then the next day, like another bunch of them would get demonetized, and pretty much now the whole series is just demonetized. And it's supposed to fall under fair use, but for whatever reason, YouTube is just like, nah, fuck you.
So these are some recent tweets from the Act-Man regarding the situation. He said, there was one I was looking for, and then, sorry, my Twitter. Oh, so I don't even care if my channel is demonetized or not anymore. I want YouTube to be a better platform with or without me. Keep the revolution alive. Hashtag justice for Act-Man. So yeah, he's pissed off.
Oh yeah. And dude, if I were him, I would be so livid. Like,
if I were him at this point, I would just take it to court. I would take Quantum TV. I would take YouTube to court because if he has the money to pay for the lawyers, according to the internet lawyers anyway, he has a case.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, YouTube court cases never hold up. The judge is always just kind of like, whatever. Like, what was that one case that it was like a copyright type thing that went to court, and the judge was just sort of like, the judge just didn't fucking care because it was YouTube related, so he just gave the W to the big company, of course. Oh, yay. Go big companies.
Yeah, it's just, so, go on Twitter, tweet the hashtag Justice for Act-Man, help him out, because he might say he doesn't care if his content gets taken down, but I definitely don't think that he deserves to lose his job for defending himself from copyright abuse, and B, calling out YouTube for defending a copyright abuser.
Seriously, like, this whole thing just gives me, like, Order 66 vibes. Like, where it's just like, alright, bad guys win. The good guys are getting fucking, like, turned against walls and executed with machine guns, and it's fucked up. It's just like a fucked up, like, bad guys win type scenario. I hate it. I hate it, dude, so much.
And the dark age of YouTube, which is the video that he posted criticizing YouTube's lack of action and for taking down his quote-unquote attack on Quantum TV and whatnot, they took it down in like less than a day and then demonetized his channel like the same day.
That is so fucked.
And it was manual, like it wasn't like the algorithm doing it. It was a person. Like that's what everything's saying is it was a person. So yeah, fuck Quantum TV. Fuck YouTube. 2 middle fingers to YouTube. You guys suck. You know it.
Seriously, that's some fucking bullshit. I remember when I found out that Quantum TV like won the whole dispute to begin with. I was shocked. I was floored by that. But then when Act-Man's channel got demonetized and all that other shit started happening, I was just like, there's no way. This is too fucked. That is just like completely nonsensical.
Yeah, and it's just upsetting, the Act-Man, like as far as I can tell, pretty good guy it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, if you go on Twitter, of course, there's those people that are like, oh, the Act-Man's not a very stand-up guy if you dig up his tweets from 10 years ago, and it's like, dude, he was probably, like, an edgy 14-year-old when those tweets that you're reading. I hate it when people do shit like that. They try to, like, defame people with, like, really old tweets that were clearly made when they were, like, teenagers or younger. And it's just like, dude,
yeah,
stop trying to make this person seem like a piece of shit over something they tweeted when they were like 13 or 14.
Yeah, as long as they apologize and move on. But I feel like we've kind of covered that pretty well. That was actually really good coverage of that whole situation. We're doing a good job this episode, Cody. I'm starting every time we do one of these here BBD podcasts, it does feel like we're starting to become the hosts of something, you know?
We're harnessing our sexual energy and our lion-like prowess and our testosterone. Yeah. I'm actually getting laid right now, like on the books. If you know what I'm saying.
You guys don't actually see it because we never record video for these, but we always make sure and touch tips before we start recording these, just so our raw sexual energy can translate through the mic.
We each beat our penises against the microphones, and you just hear like...
Well, you want to talk about Better Call Saul?
Oh, yeah. So there's this show that just
How's that for a segue, by the way?
There's this show... Actually, you know what? Before we do this, I gotta do a spot. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever seen a VHS tape?
Oh my god, another Dreamco ad.
They're so, like, nice and novel, you know? It's just like a big black brick. You have the title of your movie on there, and then you just shove it into, uh-oh, what's that? A Blu-ray player. Who put this piece of shit there? Stop buying all this new confusing technology. Just get yourself a goddamn VCR. It's so fucking easy. You just plug it in, and you put it under your TV. Boom, you put the tape in. Sometimes the movie's not going to be at the beginning because the last guy who watched it probably forgot to rewind it for you. So you just got to rewind that shit, sit there and wait like half an hour for your movie to rewind, and then you watch your movie on a VHS because VHS has top-notch video quality, top-notch durability. You could kick your Dreamco VCR as hard as you can, and it's just going to bounce right off your foot. Yeah, hell, it might even break your foot. But if you don't get yourself a Dreamco VCR within the next 24 hours, you're going to miss out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to use a Big Boy District promo code to get a whopping 3.8% off your order of a Dreamco VCR using code BBD4568910111213 at the checkout. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to our Dreamco VCR ad read.
Now back to the content.
Oh, we only got to do about 6 more of those bad boys, and
we'll break even.
Move on to like Harry's Razors or somebody real. But anyway,
only like 6 more. All right, so we're talking Better Call Saul here, folks. If you don't know what that is, listen to Cody right now. Stop talking and put your phone away.
Okay, so I feel like everyone probably knows what Better Call Saul is, but if you don't, if you like actually live under a rock, so Breaking Bad was the best show ever made. Pretty much everybody knows that. It's fucking outstanding. It is outstanding. Breaking Bad is probably one of the few shows that I would consider to be perfect. Like if I were to actually like designate different movies or shows that I think would be perfect, Breaking Bad would be one of the very few. So Better Call Saul is the prequel to Breaking Bad, and it follows Saul Goodman, and it's pretty much the story of how Saul becomes Saul, essentially. How he becomes the fucking crooked piece of shit lawyer that, becomes Walter White and Jesse's lawyer in Breaking Bad. And, so going into Better Call Saul, I've known that it was a fantastic show for years, but I just never really took time to like watch it really. But the show is fucking phenomenal. And when they first announced it, when Breaking Bad was over, I was just sort of like, whatever. It's a prequel.
Same.
I don't think it's gonna be that good. But my fucking god, it is such an incredible show. It is so fucking good. And when people say that it's better than Breaking Bad, here's the thing. I'm gonna throw the cold water down now. I I don't think Better Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad. But I do think there is a strong argument to be made for that because they're two very different shows. They're not similar, and they're similar in the sense that they share the same universe and the same characters, but they're so different. So like,
they're like, the way I like to look at it is like they're like two shoes, one left, one right. They're just the opposite, but exactly the same in a lot of ways. That's my view.
But yeah, it's it is just so fucking good, and I just finished season 3, so I'm about to start season 4. So I'm still not even caught up yet, because I still have to get through season 4 and then season 5, and then like the first half of season 6, because I think they're ending season 6 sometime in like it's like 6 weeks from now or some shit. I can't remember. But yeah, it is so fucking good. And it just like Breaking Bad, it gets better and better with each season. And like it's just so good. It's so fucking good. I see where people are coming from when they're like, yeah, it's better than Breaking Bad. Like I said, I disagree, and I just personally, from a personal perspective standpoint, not objectively, just personally, I think Breaking Bad is the slightly better show, but Better Call Saul is fucking incredible.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I've only seen up to season 4 of Better Call Saul, and it's been a while since I've seen it. It has that same effect that Breaking Bad has, where once you get past that first and second season, you can already feel that he's starting to bring all these threads together, and you just know it's going to have a satisfying conclusion. Vince Gilligan is a genius.
He is such a good writer. Him and Michael Gould. I don't know how to say that guy's last name. But yeah,
I think it's Gould.
Really good. They're some of the best writers in the fucking business. But yeah, I can't believe Better Call Saul is as good as it is. Just being the fact that like it's a prequel, and I already kind of like, I've talked about this, but I already have kind of a disposition against prequels. I think prequels are just naturally kind of weak most of the time because there's really just no stakes or tension because you already know how the story's going to end. But Better Call Saul subverts that like crazy because they have like that double story kind of a thing where kind of at the beginning and the end of each season they flash to Saul. Okay, spoiler alert. I should definitely don't watch. Just go away if you care about Better Call Saul spoilers.
Go away now.
I'm gonna give you 4 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Get out.
Yeah, Better Call Saul has that like dual storyline where, they cut to like Saul in the present where he's, in hiding, living in Nebraska, and he's that manager of the Cinnabon, and he's all old and miserable, and he's just sort of like biding his time or whatever. And then it cuts to, his origin story basically of, how he becomes Saul and the crooked lawyer, but it also goes into Mike and how Mike gets involved with all these characters and all these criminal operations.
And even Tuco.
Yeah, Hector Salamanca comes back, and he's in his prime. He's not in a wheelchair yet, so he's still fucking terrifying.
He's like a year away from being in a wheelchair.
Yeah, because have you seen up to this point like how he ends up in the wheelchair? Yeah,
I don't remember, but I know I've seen it.
Spoiler alert! It's because Nacho poisons him.
Yep. Now I remember.
And that's another character.
He puts the poison in the heart medication, right?
Yep. His angina medicine. Oh fuck! But like the show, I just absolutely love the characters and the way that all the characters are written. Even the characters that you don't like, you can't help but love the way that they're written. Like Chuck. Chuck is just a miserable piece of shit, and he's got that like weird, he thinks he's allergic to electricity or whatever, and he's quirky, and he's a douchebag, and he's pretentious, and he's constantly shitting on his brother, Jimmy. But at the same time, like, the way he's written, you can't help but have, like, sympathy for him at the end of the day. And then you feel bad when he gets fucked over. And it's like, goddamn. It's so
Yeah,
good.
because he has his douchey and weird qualities, but like how he came about possessing those qualities is pretty interesting.
Exactly.
And you kind of, it makes sense, you know?
And the thing with Chuck, too, is it's so easy to hate him because he's a douchebag. But at the same time, he's like one of the only people in the whole world who's actually right about Jimmy. He sees through him and he knows him and he recognizes him for what he is. Because Jimmy's a piece of shit, too. He's fucking slipping Jimmy. He's an asshole. He's a con man, basically. So, and Chuck realizes that and he acknowledges that. So that's kind of where he gets his like villainous aspect, I guess, even though it's totally justified.
Well, so that's the cool thing about Vince Gilligan's writing, is he's able to frame that in such a way, just like with Walter White, right? Just on a smaller scale, where it's like, yeah, you kind of hate this guy, even though you shouldn't, because he's doing, or not Walter White, I'm sorry, Hank Hill. Like, this guy is the antagonist of the story because the villain is the protagonist. So It's written that you're supposed to hate the guy who's doing the right thing. Like Hank in Breaking Bad, all he was doing was trying to find out who Heisenberg was, and when he did find out, you know, he has that reaction where he punches Walt and he threatens Walt and everything. And the way it's written, you're supposed to be like, "Oh, get him, Hank," or "Get him, Walt." Excuse me, get him, Walt. But at the end of the day, it's like, nah, he's like, Hank is 100% in the right. I'd be pissed off too.
Oh yeah, me too. But at
Same
the same
with
time, like, I think there's an argument to be made against Hank too, like, just because, like, he is like the quintessential good guy, but at the same time, Hank was definitely a douchebag. Like, he had a huge hand in, like, you know, treating Walt like shit the whole time they knew each other and belittling him, and ultimately, I think Hank had a pretty big role in, like, shaping Walt into what he was, or into what he, like, became in the end.
I mean, at the end of the day, it was all Walt's fault. Like, you know, you can't control how people treat you, but you can control how you react to their treatment.
Exactly. Yeah, I have no sympathy for Walt either. He was extraordinarily evil, but that's a whole different conversation.
All the way back in 2013, when that show first came out ended. Like, the finale came out and everything, and it ended in 2013 when I was in middle school still. And so many people at my school just misunderstood that ending. Like, a lot of people were like, "Oh man, I'm so glad Walt lived," and I would be like, "What?"
No, dude, my mom didn't understand it. I had to explain to my mom that there wasn't going to be a season 6, and she didn't believe me. I was just like, dude, Mom, there's not going to be a season 6. He's dead. Story's over. Bye, bye, bye. That's how I felt.
Bye. And there was a kid at my school that was like, "Oh, I don't understand like why he didn't just leave, you know?" And I was like, "Because he got shot and he was bleeding out." And he was like, I don't know, like, why would he have shot himself with his machine? And I was like, bro, what the hell are you talking about? Do you think that he had, like, programmed that rotating gun to not shoot him somehow? What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm about to piss myself off so much. I was gonna just talk about Better Call Saul, but now I have to talk about the Breaking Bad finale because so many people didn't understand it. Oh, Jesus. Like, I know. Dude, so many people didn't understand, like, why Walt saved Jesse at the end. And, it was just like, dude, it wasn't really that hard to understand. Like, Walt rolls up, like, when he, after he picks up Skinny Pete and Badger when they do that laser pointer thing on Gretchen and Elliot. And he picks him up, and then he learns that Jesse's still alive. His first reaction is he's fucking pissed. He's like, wait, why is Jesse still alive? He doesn't say that, but like when he says Jesse's name, you can just hear like the venom in his voice. You're like, yeah, he's pissed. So when he went to the, the Nazi compound with the machine gun in the trunk, God, my throat's dry. When he went there, he was planning on killing all of them. The Nazis, Jesse, all of them. But then when he found out at the very last minute that Jesse was a slave and he wasn't actually like a business partner, he had that little last minute change of heart and he's like, oh, all right, I gotta beat Jesse's dad again one more time. And then he saves him. People didn't understand that. And they thought that Walt was just on some sort of like crusade to save Jesse. And that was like the point of the episode. I was like, what? What? Dude, being a show writer has got to be tough because you got to know that so much of your simple shit is gonna go over people's heads, and it's like, how are so many people this dumb?
Yeah, imagine being a fucking Star Wars show writer and having to deal with that crowd.
Yeah.
Episode 4 got so much hate, and it was like, bro, I liked it. I don't know if I'm just stupid or a shill or because everyone's telling me that it's bad, and I watch it, and I'm like, I just like this.
Yeah, like, I don't know, when I watch Star Wars shit, I just sort of turn my brain off and I don't think about it. And when I watch a lot of these reviews about, like, the Kenobi show especially, like, I'm not saying they're wrong, and I'm not saying that they're wrong to criticize it or that their criticisms in general are incorrect. I just think that they're kind of taking it too seriously for Star Wars, you know? And, like, you can easily make the argument of, like, oh, just because it's Star Wars doesn't mean that any of this is excusable, but, like, on one hand, I sort of disagree. Because to me, Star Wars has always just kind of been about, like, flashy visuals and sci-fi fucking mumbo-jumbo. And not much else. Like, yeah, there's great stories in Star Wars, don't get me wrong. Like, there are excellent stories that have been told in the Star Wars universe. But that just isn't really what it's about to me. It's mostly just about the sci-fi splendor of the whole thing. And as long as that's intact, I just don't really care.
Yeah, and my thing is, so I think it's like, I don't think that just because something is Star Wars doesn't mean it's like gonna like automatically be goofy and cheesy. I actually think that this is like the darkest we've ever seen them bring Star Wars to like TV or movies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think that it necessarily has to be like for children or like, you know, subpar writing because it's Star Wars. I just think that people who are criticizing it are taking their criticisms and then they're just repeating them over and over and over and over and over again. And it's like, guys, we get it. The chase scene kind of sucked. The action isn't that amazing. I doesn't mean that I'm going to call it a bad show. Like, I still enjoy it. I still like the story. I still like Darth Vader. I still like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't even dislike Reva. Like, I don't. People ever like,
I don't really dislike her. I don't really buy her as an antagonist. I wish that they would have just gone more of a straight Vader route. But like, I don't know. I don't like hate her. I don't even think she's like a bad actor. A lot of people are like, oh, she's just a bad actress. I was like, no, I just think she's just kind of a poorly written character. I think like the actress is fine. Like
for sure, there's criticisms about the show, like that the chase scene, like you said, that some of the action is great, and some of it just isn't, and then some of the writing doesn't make some of it you can tell is a little bit jumbled, especially around episode 4. I won't spoil it because it just came out 2 days ago, but like it's just a little bit jumbled around, like you can tell, but that I don't know, like I still like it, like I don't see why whenever something isn't like 100% perfect, people just have to be such dicks about it. And it's like, guys, like this is far from like a bad TV show. I hope you understand that. Like this is still perfectly watchable. This is still well acted in a lot of aspects. A lot of the writing is really good, especially around Baby Leia. Like, just because there's aspects of it that you don't like doesn't mean we have to jump on the Disney hate train. When the sequels came out, I hated the sequels, but I never went online and screamed about it. Like, I don't know, it's just, that's the main thing. That's the biggest thing, I think, is just that the man babies. I just can't stand the man babies that whine and complain, you know what I mean? Like, criticize everything, but don't be such, like, dicks about everything, you know?
Yeah.
But regardless, I went off topic.
Speaking of a show that nobody's a dick about because everybody loves it, Better Call Saul. It's true, though. My God, everybody loves that show. The critics love it. The fans love it. I love it.
And think about how rare it is to have a spin-off that's arguably better than the original.
Seriously, that never happens. Like, Better Call Saul really broke new ground by having a prequel spin-off show about a character that nobody really cared all that much about, and yet it's phenomenal. And it is so fucking good. And I feel like Better Call Saul, it's kind of a hard sell if you describe it just in concept. Like, oh yeah, Better Call Saul, it's the prequel to Breaking Bad, and it's about Walter White's lawyer. Like, that's just a boring ass way to describe it. But then when you actually watch it, it is so fantastic, and it is just packed to the fucking brim with tension and stakes and shit going on all the time. The only reason I say I still like Breaking Bad slightly better is because Breaking Bad was just a little bit more high stakes, a little bit more often. Like, Breaking Bad was constant life or death scenarios, and you're constantly wondering how Walt and Jesse are going to figure out how to overcome this next great obstacle and kill this drug lord before they get killed, or, you know, shit like that. Or they're constantly trying to avoid going to prison and, you know, actively avoiding Hank and the DEA and all that. Breaking Bad is just constant stakes, and it's like, when you binge watch Breaking Bad, it gets kind of stressful. Like, eventually that anxiety starts to kind of get to you, like Righteous Gemstones, Uncut Gems style.
Righteous Gems.
Righteous Gemstones is, I don't know why I said that.
It's gonna be our next project.
I've never even seen that show, but yeah, Righteous Gemstones. I think it's on HBO. But yeah, I do think Breaking Bad is just a little bit bad. Like I said, that's just a personal opinion. I think there really is no definitive answer to the question of which show is better, but I do think Breaking Bad just is slightly better in my personal opinion, just because of the constant and, like, ever evolving stakes, and also like that like sense of this is gonna sound weird, but like that sense of progress that you get with Walt as he, like, works his way up through the drug trade and then eventually, like, creates his own drug trade. It's a neat, like, kind of a chain that you're watching him climb, and as he gets more and more evil, he also gets more and more powerful and shit. Like, I don't know, Breaking Bad was just, like I said, to me, it's pretty much perfect. I can't really think of really any flaws with Breaking Bad, except for maybe some very, very minor things.
Yeah.
Like, I would give it 100%. Like, 10 out of 10, 100%.
This sounds fanboy-ish and shilly, I guess, but there's only one episode of Breaking Bad that I would give less than an A as far as the grade scale, and that's just The Fly.
The Fly episode was obvious filler, and I don't care what anybody says. You're absolutely right. The Fly episode was literally just like, either we don't want to put in any effort, or we don't have any money in the budget, so we're just gonna do this, like, kind of weird introspective episode that, like, delves deep into Walt and Jesse. And the thing with the Fly episode is, I still like the episode.
I don't hate it.
I still like it, and every time I rewatch Breaking Bad, which is pretty much once a year, I fucking rewatch that show because it's so good. Every time I rewatch it, I still, like, I don't skip the Fly episode. I sit there and I watch it, and I have a good time. And that said, it's definitely the weakest episode in the series, unless you're like one of those pretentious Redditors who's like, the Fly episode was the best episode because you really get to know Walt and Jesse, and it really explores their relationship. And it's like, wow, shut the fuck up. The episode kind of sucked, okay?
I'd still give it a B. I would still give that episode a B, but literally every single other episode in the show, I would give an A- to an A+, whereas that episode, I would give it like a B-.
Yeah, and it's so fucking weird, because that episode just sticks out like such a sore thumb to me, because Breaking Bad is a show with absolutely no filler. Every scene of every episode drives something towards the bigger story. But that episode was the only instance of just absolutely useless filler, so it sticks out like a sore thumb.
I still think we should get into watch party and commentary content, because we would be pretty good at that. We could do like a Breaking Bad watch party, a Star Wars like commentary / watch party thing, just like, you know, one of those things where it's like a video of us talking, just like a podcast for however long, but then there's a timestamp that we edit in so the person can watch like whatever we're watching alongside it with our commentary.
Yeah, that'd be pretty fucking cool. I saw some channel doing that with the
Razzle, Microwave Society. Yeah, Razzle, Microwave Society, Blind Wave. There's lots of channels. It's a legitimate way to make content.
I don't know what channel I was watching, but it was just some girl watching the new Obi-Wan episode, and she looked fucking disgusted at it. She just looked like she was not having fun with what she was watching.
Damn, we should watch something tonight. We should, after we do this, we should, I don't know, watch a movie or something and just try that out. Maybe record it, you know?
Yeah, I'm down. Record the movie and then just upload an entire movie to YouTube.
No. We're not gonna pirate.
Remember when Twitch streamers were doing that? They were just straight up like pirating whole fucking shows and movies on their stream. Like, there was this one streamer who had this hilarious idea for a meta where he was like, alright, I'm just gonna stream all the time, even when I'm asleep. And when I go to sleep, I'm just gonna play, like, episodes of Avatar The Last Airbender. And he just did that. He was like, alright guys, I'm going to sleep. I'll play some Avatar for you to watch. And he would just do that. And I think he got away with it for a couple days before...
TOS.
Twitch, yeah, they caught on and they were like, dude, you can't do that. Like, by that, like, does it make sense if one person with a Netflix subscription can broadcast the entirety of like a Netflix show to like thousands of people who don't have a subscription? Like, no,
for free.
Businesses don't like that. Businesses like money.
So what's a good movie or show we could record some commentary on?
Beavis and Butthead Do America.
I hate Beavis and Butthead.
I have never actually seen Beavis and Butthead, but I feel like I know a lot about them just from like cultural zeitgeist kind of shit.
Ooh, that's a good story. So, my old boss at Kia, again, not Courtney, but it was Artie Farty. We called him the meatball because he was just a short, round dude. And he was like, have you ever seen The Great Cornholio? And I was like, the what? And he was like, yeah, The Great Cornholio. And so he brought me into his office and he made me watch an entire episode of Beavis and Butthead. And it was not funny in the slightest. It's like they literally just go, I'm Cornholio. Give it to me. And it's just like, it's funny for like a second. And you know how when someone's showing you something and they're like watching you and you're like, okay, dude.
When someone fucking takes you hostage and forces you to watch an entire episode of Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, I was like, bro, I got a customer coming in. We got work to do.
The customer's outside like, God, where the fuck is this guy? He's watching fucking Beavis and Butthead.
So, I'm just wondering if you knew where the keys to the Chevy Cruze was? No, wait, this is the funniest part. Oh, okay.
You just have it on your phone next to you, too. Sorry, bro, I can't.
I'm going to scroll through Disney Plus, because that's pretty much the only subscription service I have at this point.
Alright, how I don't know why I said that like an old man who just like sat on his nuts. Ow! It's kind of saggy down there. How do you feel about open world games?
Uh, you know, some of my favorite games ever have been open world, like Skyrim and Skyrim. Yeah, Minecraft. Um, No Man's Sky. I don't know. I like them if they're done well, just like anything else.
See, that's where I'm at, where some of my favorite games of all time are open world games, but like at this point, I feel like I'm just so tired of them. Cause just
So,
like,
would you say you're tired of the open world in Elden Ring?
oh God, no, Elden Ring is a hard exception. That game is like the open world in Elden Ring is all about like, hey buddy, you can follow these golden arcs if you want to go to the main bosses, or you can go explore in the woods and get killed by some giant bears. Or you
Oh,
can
dude.
go into this cave and get killed by some skeletons. Just kidding, skeletons are fucking easy. Or you can go like that game is fucking amazing. It makes me want to play Breath of the Wild because apparently it's got kind of a similar open world kind of a thing. But the thing with Breath of the Wild is I don't think that game is very like pretty. Elden Ring is stunning. Like it is gorgeous. But I don't know, just like do you remember like playing Assassin's Creed games as a kid versus like as an adult? Like when you play Assassin's Creed as a kid, it's like the coolest shit ever. You feel like you're in some kind of like Game of Thrones universe where like all this shit's going on and you've got all these different storylines and like a million different characters and you're killing all these people, but there's always like a reason and like it felt fucking awesome. But now when you play it as an adult, you realize how much of the game is just mundane walking around following another character or tailing another character or talking to another character while slowly walking. And then you realize that that's like 90% of the fucking core gameplay loop.
Yeah, I hate that shit. It was just like L.A. Noire definitely didn't need to be open world.
Yeah, I agree. The open world was utterly pointless. Plus that game was like needlessly ginormous. Like the open world was fucking big. It was like the entire city of LA, but yeah, I love LA Noire. But yeah, it really didn't need to be open world. Luckily, like you didn't really have to drive anywhere in that game because you could just like make your partner do it. Like you could just be like, "Hey, bitch, fast travel us to this crime scene." It's pretty much. I don't know. I liked driving in that game though because I liked driving on the sidewalk and trying to run people over.
Same,
It was kind of a fun
same.
challenge because they made the pedestrians like super hard to hit. But yeah, I don't know. I just most open world games follow that whole like Ubisoft Assassin's Creed formula, and it just bores me to tears because I remember when I was a kid, the whole idea of open world blew me away. Like when I was just a little kid first playing like GTA on the PS2 and shit, I was like, wow, it's a whole like virtual world and I can just go wherever I want. I thought that was so cool. And as much as I like
Yeah,
to nitpick Rockstar games, they really do make some of the best open worlds in terms of like the scope and the visuals and the realism and stuff. But most of the time, like you said with LA Noire, I just don't think open world benefits the gameplay a whole lot. Like Halo Infinite did not need to be open world. Assassin's Creed games do not need to be open world, with the exception of Black Flag, because the open world was kind of the whole point of that game. But most of the time, open worlds only exist to like pad shit out and kind of waste your time, so you have to travel between the events of the game instead of going through them in like a linear level format. And more often than not, it's just not that fun unless you're playing a game with a really interesting or unique world, like Elden Ring or something. And most open world games just aren't that unique. Like, look at games like Watch Dogs, or like, again, with Assassin's Creed. The open worlds are so, like, generic and cookie cutter and empty and pointless to the actual gameplay. So it's like, ugh, I
Who
want to
even
see
cares,
more. Yeah, I want to see more open world games like Elden Ring, where it just feels like there's actually a point to go out and experience and see the things that the developers worked hard to create. Because it's like, if you're going to make an open world game, you'd think you'd want players to see as much of it as possible. And Elden Ring actually, like, rewards that exploration in, like, countless different ways. So let's just have more of that.
So, kind of spinning off of that, another point I was gonna make is like I do really like procedurally generated open worlds like Minecraft and No Man's Sky. Those are fun, and the technology's getting better all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, what was that game? Was it Morrowind or Daggerfall?
Daggerfall, yep.
Oblivion.
Daggerfall was procedurally generated. Daggerfall is technically I'm gonna have to Google this to verify it, but Daggerfall is technically the biggest open world game ever made, or at least it was at one point.
Really?
I'm gonna Google, is Daggerfall the biggest game still? Not, is Daggerfall a good game? I don't give a fuck. I'm never gonna play it. I don't think. I might, who knows. Daggerfall, the first few Elder Scrolls games do not look like they're for me. They look very dated. I play dated games all the time, but this looks like it came out in the fucking Paleolithic era. Is Daggerfall... Right, I'm just gonna go on the Wikipedia page. I know that at least at one point, Daggerfall was the biggest open world game ever, just because it was procedurally generated and pretty much all that shit. Daggerfall, like the other games in the Elder Scrolls series, takes place on the fictional continent of Tamriel. Wow, who knew? Who knew? Uh-huh. So apparently in Daggerfall, you can travel between High Rock and Hammerfell. So there were like 2 different fucking countries you could go to in this. It shows you what I know about Elder Scrolls lore. I thought Daggerfall was a country. I thought Daggerfall was like a place.
Yeah, but Bethesda doesn't even give a shit about Elder Scrolls lore, so they change it all the time.
I wonder how fast you can beat this game, because I know with Morrowind, Morrowind you can literally this isn't even a speed run. You can literally just from the very start of the game, you can just go to like the final like city or wherever you need to go, and you can just beat the game right away within 10 minutes if you want. And it's not even a speed run. It's just like, yep, you're allowed to go do that. The game features over 15,000 cities, towns, villages, and dungeons for the character to explore. Okay. I'm trying to figure out where it says how, like, big it is. Daggerfall was initially developed with 2.5D Raycast engine. Just kidding, it says Raycast. Wow, apparently this game had kind of like a shitty development based on what I'm reading here. I'm not gonna read it out loud, but I'm just gonna look up Daggerfall's size. I don't know why I'm so fixated on this now. Daggerfall size. How big is the map in Daggerfall? I know for a fucking fact that this game was the biggest at one point, but
how big did we find out that Elden Ring was?
Shit, like we would have to compare it to something because
I think it was like 30 miles.
Yeah, video game like mile measurements are always kind of weird and different. They kind of vary based on game. Elden Ring
Map
Worlds.
size in miles. 30.5 square miles.
One intrepid Reddit user called Lusty Batch even used the length of their horse in a bridge. Wow, this guy actually measured the size of wait, Elden Ring is bigger than GTA 5?
Yeah, remember we
I
found that
guess.
because GTA 5 is only 15 square miles or whatever.
Yeah, it's true. I did
Uh,
like so you know how in
or no,
Elden Ring,
GTA 5 is 30 square miles.
you know how in Elden Ring when you open the map, there's you know, obviously as you're exploring, you find like pieces of the map that open up parts of the regions. But outside of like the blurred part of the map, there's just like that black border. The map gets even bigger than that black border.
Damn.
After you defeat Radahn, the map literally just like doubles in size right before your eyes. And it's at a point in the game where you're like, oh, okay, I'm probably getting pretty close to the end. I just fought fucking Radahn, so the game is probably almost over. Nope, the map fucking quadruples, and then you find out, like, oh, there's like a secret city that we're on a quest to go to, and we still got to get to the fucking base of the Erd Tree. We haven't even done that yet. And it's like, this game is so good. Like, I just can't believe how fucking cool it is. But yeah, Elden Ring is open world done right. And I've even heard I heard someone I think it was on the Some Ordinary podcast with Mutahar and those guys. One of those guys said that they didn't like the open world aspects of Elden Ring because so like they were just going on a pretty much what I'm doing right now. They were just going on a tirade against open world games and how most of them just are kind of boring. But he transferred that to Elden Ring, and he was like, "Yeah, I love the Souls-like aspects of it, and the bosses and the combat, but I just don't like the open world because it reminds me of Ubisoft games." And I'm just like, man, Elden Ring is literally the pinnacle of a non-Ubisoft open world. Like I could not disagree with a statement more. Don't get me wrong, you're entitled to whatever opinion. But that's just a wrong opinion. Like, I'm sorry. Because Ubisoft open worlds are like, okay, so go to this place on your map, and then you're gonna get a little cutscene, and then you're gonna do a little quest where you're gonna tiptoe tail a guy for about 10 minutes, very slowly, and you're gonna have to stick to the bushes and be real sneaky. And then he gets to his house, and then, like, it's always so boring. You can even take that a step further with GTA, where the missions are always just, all right, go here and shoot some people, and then escape the cops. Boom, mission complete. It's like, why?
Yeah, GTA hasn't. This is probably a controversial opinion because GTA has a lot of fanboys, but I don't think it does. Like, the open world is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it's not utilized super well.
Yeah, and what's weird is it looks like it is, but especially in GTA 5, like when you look on the map, there's so many different icons, and it looks like there's so much to do. But when you actually like start doing most of the shit, it's either awful and boring and just obvious content filler, or it's like, yeah, I mean, it's just that. It's just like boring. Like, remember the tow truck missions in GTA 5? The little tow
Yeah.
truck, like, side quest, like, side missions you could do, and how it was just like, all right, it's Franklin and this meth head chick driving a tow truck, and that's it. That was literally it. Like, they didn't do anything with that. It's just like 3 or 4 missions where you're driving a tow truck. Like, that is some Shenmue level boring. Like, fuck.
Yeah, I agree. Open worlds are good when they're done right, but I can understand the fatigue.
Also, it seems like I've really been going hard on shitting on like open world games, but like I said earlier, there are open world games that are some of my fucking favorites. Like I absolutely love like as much shit as I give GTA and like Red Dead Redemption especially, I still love those games and appreciate them to death. Like I still think that they're absolutely outstanding and monumental achievements in gaming, honestly, just because like Just look at like the world of GTA 5 and how like realistic it is. Like when you're in first person mode and you like park your car and you walk into a gas station in GTA 5. Like it feels like you're in a real ass gas station. And then if you want, you can rob the gas station guy, and that's always fun. So like when I shit on these games, I'm mostly shitting on like the campaign and the mission design and the lost potential with that. It's not so much like the sandbox elements, because obviously Grand Theft Auto is a ton of fun. It's a sandbox game about being a criminal and doing whatever you want, stealing cars and doing crimes, blowing shit up. Obviously that's always going to be fun, and I still love GTA 5 for that. But like at the same time, when I stop having fun with GTA 5, it's always because of the missions. It's always because of the fucking campaign, and because the missions just aren't fun.
Every time we ever tried to play online together too, there was always like some weird thing that kept us from having fun. We'd be like, "Oh, fuck yeah, let's do this." And the game would be like, "Actually, you can do everything but that."
Yeah. Oh yeah, it would. Like we'd always try to like what was it? What was it? I don't know. Whenever we would try to like do a certain mission, it would always like separate us. It'd put us into like different servers all of a sudden. It was constantly like moving us between servers instead of keeping us in the same one, which was really it is really annoying playing GTA online with your friends. It is not
Yeah.
designed to like, because it does not keep you in the same lobby as your friends. It moves you around every time. So between missions and races or heists or whatever you're doing, you always have to like re-invite your friends and rejoin their sessions. It's fucking annoying.
Every time. Every single time.
I hated it. But I'll tell you what I don't hate. Dreamco VCR! Just kidding. Dreamco VCR already had their spot. But I'll tell you who didn't have their spot. I'm currently trying to come up with a new sponsor. We might have to wait until next time for that one, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah. What's here comes a good closing topic. I think I already like I definitely feel like I mentioned or asked this on a previous episode, but what's a game that you really liked that nobody else liked?
It's a very specific question.
And by nobody else, I mean, obviously, somebody else probably liked it, but, a game that you liked that wasn't very, like, well received by other people.
I think this might be the exact answer I've already given you, but do you remember Evolve?
Oh, yeah.
That was such a cool concept, and it was a really fun game, too.
Oh, yeah. It got insanely repetitive, like, super quick.
Oh, yeah. It was asymmetrical as fuck, though, and if they just thought of a couple more game types, I bet you would have done better. But it was really fun. The only problem is, as the servers dried up in about a month. So if you didn't get that game at launch like I did, you just didn't get to experience it because they didn't have any sort of AI or anything in there.
Yeah. I wonder if that game is still, like...
Nope. Shut down, like... absolutely not. It shut down, like, less than a year after it went online.
Alright, my answer is kind of weird, because it's not a game that was hated, but it was hated by its own fan base, and I myself was a part of that fan base, big time. But my answer is Metal Gear Solid 5. And obviously that game was like, for the most part, it was critically acclaimed when it came out, but the actual Metal Gear Solid fan base fucking hates Metal Gear 5. And I'm a part of that same fan base. One of my favorite games ever of all time is Metal Gear Solid 3. And ever since I was like a fucking baby, I've been into Metal Gear Solid ever since the PS1 days. But when Metal Gear Solid 5 dropped, the fan base was just absolutely shitting on it because, the story was incomplete, the ending had really negative response, and people generally saw it as just kind of a terrible Metal Gear game in terms of the story and the plot. But I had so much fucking fun with that game because the gameplay was so fucking good. I just didn't even care about the story. Like, the gameplay was so fun that I just didn't even care. And to this day, it's a game that I would highly recommend because it's one of those like Hitman, how it's basically like a sandbox game where you just kind of complete the mission however you want, and there's millions of ways to do it. Metal Gear Solid 5 is like that, only it's kicked up to a massive scale because it's fully open world and you have like military fucking organizations at your disposal. So you can be like sneaking up to an enemy base and you can just like call in a helicopter to like come fucking shoot at them, and then that same helicopter will drop you some supplies that you can go like pick up from a rooftop or something. And you can also do stuff like there's dummies that look just like you, like inflatable dummies that you can get, and you can set them up all around wherever you want, and then click a button and they all come up, and you can stand still amongst the identical dummies of yourself, and then if an enemy comes up, he will actually be confused and he'll be like, oh my god, which one is he? Like, you can break enemies with that, and it's so fucking amazing. You can also hide in your cardboard box. You can move around while you're in the box. You can use the cardboard box as a sled and sled down a hill in it. It's literally a game where you can do whatever the fuck you want, and it's fucking amazing. I love Metal Gear Solid 5. It's awesome. If you're not like one of those people that cares about the whole Metal Gear Solid story, then Metal Gear Solid 5 is definitely for you. It's so fun. It is so fun. But yeah.
Nice. I remember playing that game with you.
Yeah, the community hated it. And I will admit, like, yeah, the story is kind of like garbage for Metal Gear Solid, but as I was playing through it, I just didn't give a flying fuck about the story. I was just having so much fun just playing it. Like, it was so good.
Well, would you say that game is kind of similar in a way to, what's it called? Fuck. I just had it. The one, Just Cause.
Kind of. I would say, like, Metal Gear Solid 5 has a lot more substance to it. And it's also wackier. So, like, it's Just Cause is almost like a diet. It's almost like a poor man's Metal Gear Solid 5. Because, like, Metal Gear Solid 5, like, you don't have a grappling hook or anything insane like that, but you do have a robotic fist that you can fire off of your hand, and then you can remote control it and crash the flying fist into enemies. And if that ain't some fucking extreme American apple pie shit, I don't know what is. But yeah, the flying remote control fist is fucking... it's amazing. The whole game is just awesome. Like, there's this whole, like, dynamic that's really well fleshed out where you're kind of building your own military. So you have this, like, offshore, like, it's kind of like an oil rig, but it's essentially your military base. And you can build onto it, and you can staff it however you want. And pretty much how you get staff is, if you choose to be non-lethal, because obviously Metal Gear Solid has always given you a choice between, like, do you want to kill the enemies, yes or no? And if you go non-lethal, they give you the tranquilizer pistol. So in Metal Gear Solid 5, if you go the non-lethal route and you decide not to kill enemies, you can attach a parachute to them that flies them back to your base, and then they join your ranks. Oh. And they become one of yours. And every single enemy in the entire game has their own, like, stats. So they're either like, say, like a D rank engineer or like a B rank infantry or shit like that. So when you capture these guys and send them back to your base and they join you, they bring different things to the table and they add like different little elements to your military. It's fucking awesome. Like, the game is really good. It is very good. I would highly recommend it.
So before we go, I'll ask you the opposite question. Then I don't even know if I would have an answer for this yet. But what's a game that everybody likes that you really hated?
Oh god, this uh fuck. I want to say Mass Effect, but I don't really hate Mass Effect. I just think it's extremely overrated. And I
Okay,
know
okay.
people are gonna crucify me just for saying that because Mass Effect is like one of the most beloved franchises in all of video games. But I'm sorry, I just I've played all of them and I just don't like it that much. Like I don't know what to fucking tell you. Mass Effect just doesn't really float my boat.
Yeah, I think the lore in that world is stupid boring.
Yeah, I just everyone raves about how well written it is, and I don't think that the writing is that good. I just don't. Like maybe it's because I'm used to playing games like Red Dead Redemption, where like I'm sorry, but Red Dead Redemption 2 probably has like the best written characters in all of games and some of the best dialogue of all time. But like maybe I'm spoiled by those types of games. I don't know, but I just don't like it that much. Like the dialogue in Mass Effect just always comes off as like not necessarily cheesy, but it's almost like a CW show or something. I don't know. It's just not all that great.
My answer is kind of similar because I can't really think of one I hate. But my answer would definitely be Horizon Zero Dawn, because that game got a lot of like critical acclaim and shit, and I just thought it was so boring, and the story was so convoluted, and just I don't know.
That's an example of a game with an Ubisoft style open world too.
Yeah, like it was beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It was genuinely like the background effects and just the graphics overall were genuinely mind blowing and moved the industry forward and everything. But as far as story, I didn't get it. I didn't buy it. I didn't like it. So I just was like whatever. Like I don't even think I made it all the way to the end. I think I just watched it on YouTube because I like the gameplay wasn't even that much to write home about, you know?
Yeah. Oh well.
They
We've been
call me
going
Frankie.
we've been going for an hour and 21 minutes. This has been a good one.
This has been a good one, but here before we go, I do have one thing to say to our viewers. Um, One thing. I don't know. I don't have anything to say. I always start jokes like that thinking I'm gonna find something, but then I realize I'm not that clever.
I actually have something I would like to get off my chest in regards to our viewers. For to Delarouge 68, go fuck yourself. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Um, we're we're doing our best here. We're having fun. We're just a couple of guys with Blue Yeti microphones, not sponsored. And you're over here spreading negativity, and we don't respond to negativity. Okay?
Wait, did we get a negative comment?
No.
I was gonna say because if we get the first time we get a negative comment, I'm gonna quit.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, I cannot handle criticism, so keep that in mind, viewers. I will cry, just like I did at the beginning of this episode.
If you're not nice to me, my nipples will fall off. So,
I just looked up and there's a massive spider like directly on the ceiling above me.
oh no, that's this is a good cliffhanger ending then.
I'm gonna die.
Will the spider eliminate Chase?
Oh,
Will
dude,
the
it's so nasty looking.
is it like a Shelob?
No, but it's like at least it's pretty
Ugh.
big, dude. Like it's a juicy fucking spider, and it's like directly above my head.
Big spider. Damn, I got the hiccups now. Well, I guess that's gonna be the end of this episode. We went for a good long run. Had some nice long talks. Maybe next time I'll put together a recap. Or, I'll get Recap Guy to make a return. Who knows? Covered a lot of ground. Anyway, yep. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, 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 bye.
Bye, 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 bye.